What's going on, everybody? Welcome back. We have to get into this today. Jaylen Brown has responded to Stephen A. Smith once again, and there's a lot to unpack here. It even ends with Jaylen extending a direct invitation for Stephen A. to come debate him live in front of the world on his own stream. Jaylen went on Stephen A.'s platform and engaged with him there. So the next logical step is for Stephen A. to return that energy and come on to Jaylen's platform. Let the world watch and let the numbers speak for themselves. But before we get into that, the All-NBA teams dropped recently, and there's something worth addressing. If you look back over the past several years, Jason Tatum has consistently made the first team, and rightfully so, based on his production. Now this season, the Celtics held the number 2 seed in the East through the All-Star break, with Jaylen Brown carrying the load, and they eventually finished as the number 2 seed in the postseason, with Tatum returning toward the end of the year. Despite all of that, when the first All-NBA team was announced, there wasn't a single Celtic on it, despite the kind of season Jaylen Brown put together. Now, when I look at that first team and see Cade Cunningham and Luka Doncic on there, and then cross-reference it with the final MVP ladder from the regular season, Jaylen Brown finished 5th, and Cade finished 6th behind him. So, if we're being consistent, Luka should have been sitting outside the top 5 entirely, which means he arguably shouldn't have been on the first All-NBA team over either of those guys. But they have Luka on there, they have Cade on there, and yet the player who finished ahead of Cade in the MVP rankings got passed over completely. That's worth paying attention to. This is the final MVP ladder of the regular season we're looking at, so keep that context in mind as we get into Jaylen Brown's response.
I'm not the most liked fan or media. Sometimes I use my platform a little controversial, so I'm surprised I'm on any team, let alone first or second. So Mom's in the chat, second team All-NBA. I'm grateful. God is the greatest. This is live too. Like this is live. I'm grateful. I'm grateful for everything. I'm not surprised about nothing. I'm grateful for everything. I know who I am, so I get it. You know, I'm surprised I win awards at all sometimes. So I'm grateful, man. It's a blessing. Like I said, this season has been like this season has been a journey. It's been great. You know, it's been a blessing to be a part of the group that I've been on, especially with the expectations they put on us. They like the expectation was to, you know, not even be a playoff team. And we finished second.
About this, Paul?
Yeah, I would be upset. I thought he was in the MVP conversation.
Sure.
And when you're in the MVP conversation, you should be a first team. But, you know, the guys that made it are also well-deserving. I think if I had to take one person off, maybe Luka, and I know that's saying a lot because Luka did lead the league in scoring, but he had
He missed a lot of games.
He missed some games, but he had more to work with too.
Sure.
Think about it. He had LeBron all year.
Yeah.
You got Reeves, you know, a lot of the most of the year. Jaylen Brown, he did the most with the least out of all these guys that's on the least, and maybe Cade Cunningham. I mean,
Sure.
you know, but Jaylen Brown didn't have a second All-Star.
Facts.
A lot of these guys did. You know what I'm saying? So I would have probably removed Luka for Jaylen, but I'm not mad that Luka's on there because he did have a spectacular year. But he has an argument, man. I literally had Jaylen Brown.
And Jaylen Brown wasn't the only player who got overlooked this year. In my opinion, his situation was the most glaring, but OG Anunoby deserved serious consideration for first-team All-Defense, and Stephon Castle's defensive impact this season absolutely warranted recognition as well. Those were real oversights that didn't get nearly enough attention. But moving forward, Jaylen Brown also took time to address Stephen A. Smith again, and this time the tone was noticeably calmer and more measured. That said, he's clearly still looking to re-engage with Stephen A. directly. Keep in mind, this comes after Jaylen appeared on Stephen A.'s own platform following the championship run, right around the time he was publicly going at Nike. Let's get into it.
Last and not least, let's get to this, because like I've been seeing some of the stuff, the comments, but I'm not gonna keep going back and forth. So let's react and respond, and then I promise y'all this is my last one, unless we want to do like in a more formal fashion.
Season. But in the end, Jaylen Brown, be careful what you wish for. You really want me to start reporting on that level? You understand?
Be careful. Motherfucker John Gotti.
Locker room? How the organization might think about you? How the city may feel about you? How Jason Tatum may or may not have feel about you? Sneaker deals, endorsement deals, the list goes on and on. The season is over, bro. City may feel about you. How Jason goes on and on. The season is over, bro. City may feel about you. How Jaylen Brown, be careful what you wish for. You really want me to start reporting on that level?
Come on, man. Come on, Stephen A. You El Chapo? You running the media cartel, my boy? Come on, man. Talking about be careful. Man, listen, I ain't even gonna get into that, y'all. Like we gonna keep it high vibrations. Listen, I'm not even really focused on Stephen A. I'm really focused on the industry that he represents. Like, obviously I have my quarrels with Stephen A, but I also have my quarrels with the industry in itself. Stephen A is the face of the industry, and his willingness to serve his higher ups is a major cause for concern, and it's caused frustration, but it ain't even really about him. So here's my proposal. Why don't we have a live audience debate? Traditional media versus us athletes. And let's do a live debate in front of a live streamed audience at a mutual location, like a Harvard or MIT, and let's talk about it. And let's see who come out on top. Should be easy. Should be a piece of cake, Mainstream traditional media versus the athlete. Let's set it up. Harvard, MIT, live, and let's see who come out on top. You know where to find me. You know where to contact my team.
And look, there's nothing wrong with a formal debate between Stephen A and Jaylen Brown. Jaylen's proposition was straightforward. Instead of going back and forth through the media, why not sit down and have this conversation in front of the world? He specifically suggested doing it in front of scholars from Harvard, MIT, maybe even a university debate department, live streaming the whole thing so everyone can watch, judge the arguments, and see both sides break down their positions in real time. Mainstream media versus the athlete who stands firmly in what he believes, and let's see if there's any common ground to be found. Because right now, Stephen A is at odds with a growing list of people. He's got friction with Jaylen, friction with Mace, friction with Nick Wright, though honestly, Nick Wright feels like he's been poking at every Stephen A story lately just to stay relevant. That part reads like clout chasing to me. But then again, you could turn that same argument around on Stephen A and say he's been building his brand off these athletes for years, not just creating narratives, but amplifying narratives that others have manufactured about people who haven't done anything to deserve them. And that's what I keep coming back to. Someone needs to explain to me why the narrative around Jaylen Brown is what it is. Because what I see is a guy who wants to bring economic development to inner-city Boston, a guy who has pursued interests connected to NASA, a guy with genuine intellectual curiosity about the world beyond basketball, and somehow he's the one being labeled difficult and disruptive. Why? Because he asks questions? Because he has opinions? Because he refuses to just go along with whatever he's told? We spent years calling these men student athletes. We told them to study, to grow their minds, to develop a wealth of knowledge that extends beyond the game. And now that they've done exactly that, certain people want them to stop thinking and just dribble. That contradiction doesn't hold up. A basketball career has a ceiling. Outside of rare exceptions like LeBron James, most players are winding down by their late 30s at the latest. There is an entire second chapter of life waiting after the game ends, and athletes who start preparing for that early should be respected for it, not targeted. Jaylen Brown appears to have understood that reality from a young age, and that might be exactly why certain people feel unsettled by him. He came into the league already asking the right questions, already paying attention to how business actually works, already making sure the people around him couldn't take advantage of him the way we've seen happen to so many others. Kevin Garnett and players like him have been very public about the financial betrayals they experienced, trusting the wrong people and paying for it in a major way. Jaylen seems to have entered the league already aware of those pitfalls, and that kind of self-awareness and financial vigilance probably rubbed certain people in this industry the wrong way from the very beginning, because you can't mislead someone who already sees the full picture. That narrative being pushed against him could very well have been constructed by the very people who realized early on that they weren't going to be able to get over on him. Think about that. I would genuinely love to see this debate happen. Let me know what you think in the comments below. Like, share, and subscribe if you haven't already, and I'll catch you in the next one. Peace.